welcome back to another episode in our boss fight breakdown series. Today is a little bit of a shorter video due to the natures of the boss fights that we'll be taking on, but I wanted to keep the natural format as some of the following boss fights don't have really... But I wanted to keep the same format because including a third boss fight probably would have made this a little longer than I'm anticipating for the average length of these videos. So I do hope you enjoy this, and again, if you're enjoying this series, please leave a like on the video, and don't forget to leave a comment letting me know what bosses you're excited to see or what bosses you've been struggling with and will benefit from seeing broken down in this format. So before we jump into the video, make sure and check to see if you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not, please take a moment to do so. The subscription is free and easy, and we are only 10 subscribers away from our current goal by the channel's first anniversary, so we might reassess that goal if we can smash that out by the end of the week. But let's not waste any more time here and jump right into the boss fights of today's video. Now the first boss that we're looking at very much meets the criteria of more of a mini-boss in terms of how they feel, and that is Bullseye. Now, Bullseye, he's not the most difficult boss out there, but he still fits our basic framework for that fight. And the way that you'll need to take on Bullseye is primarily you want to stay away from all of the projectiles that he throws out. Now this first stage of the fight is pretty simple. It's just you and him in a room, and you've got to lay your attacks into him in order to make the most of the damage and move into the second phase with minimal damage acquired as well. Now the second phase of the fight is very similar to the first. He does change up his projectile attacks a little bit and gets access to a couple of new projectiles, as that's kind of his thing. But in addition to that, there are a couple of the hand grunts that pop in to make the fight a little bit more difficult. But honestly, I just lay into Bullseye directly as much as I can because he is the only one that you need to defeat in order to meet the clear condition and progress forward. And with this final adamantium uppercut we execute here, we end up taking him out, and that's the end of that fight, so we can move on to the next one, which is a little more lengthy, to be sure. And that fight is against Kingpin. Now, Kingpin has two different main phases. The first phase is here at the dome-type area at the top of his tower, and he starts out primarily by throwing various pieces of furniture from his office at you. Now, they're relatively easy to avoid, and it makes things a little bit difficult because he has a couple of projectile type attacks that he will transition into in order to kind of throw you off your rhythm. Particularly, they are emitted from the end of his cane, and those projectiles are pretty easy to avoid if you are watching for them, or you can roll around them if you time your attacks well enough. But as you lay in your attacks to Kingpin, he will transition into the second phase where he uses this gemstone to blow off the top of the building. And this is where the dynamic of the fight changes a little bit. So first off, Kingpin will do a couple of new moves. That first one that you saw is the kind of sumo charge type move where you can roll out of the way or avoid that type of attack. He reverts to a couple of jumping shockwave type attacks as well, and he still has access to his projectiles from his cane, but he also has a new souped up move in the form of what could only be classified as a prismatic laser, as it's a very big laser effect that sweeps out across the entire field. But that is not even close to being the remainder of the attacks in Kingpin's arsenal, as he also has this wondrous attack where he will lift the pillars off of the ground and hurl them across the battlefield at you. Now, I typically advise waiting to have your opponent staggered out before using your extreme attack, but Dr. Doom was looking a little low on his health there, and since I have the mastery that replenishes some of his health upon dealing damage to enemies, I thought it was opportune to go ahead and launch that off at that point. So Kingpin will swing those pillars around twice before hurling them at you, and there's quite a bit of build-up to that attack, so you can easily make your way around it, as the rule of Kingpin's fight is his attacks are fairly sluggish. And if you time the attack just right, in terms of staggering him out, you can completely eliminate those pillars as attacks in his arsenal. Now at this stage, we are looking to just get the remainder of Kingpin's health down, and the grunts are starting to pile up a little bit in an annoying fashion. But we can really just kind of either cut through them or skirt around them without too much to worry about. Now as we continue our way through this fight, Wolverine is obviously my main hero of choice because he does have a very impressive amount of damage output, and the last couple of adamantium uppercuts here is exactly what we need to get Kingpin to the end of that fight and be able to progress through the story. So that is going to do it for the boss fight breakdown today, and again, I really hope that this is a series that is being helpful to you. And I will be changing my format and how I release these a little bit, as I am needing a new video for Wednesdays, so you should expect to see another episode of the boss fight breakdown this week in addition to the one that's already planned for Friday. So thanks again for watching, and you have yourself an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.